this off right.
Hey everybody, welcome.
Hi.
What's up, bros?
I was waiting for
How you
Bucky to say
doing?
something.
We
Welcome to Talking Initiative episode. Oh my god, what episode are we on?
39.
Episode 38 and 39.
Yeah, we're on episode 30.
Yeah,
There
let's
we
go with
go.
that.
It's great. I'm super excited to be here to talk about episode 38 and 39. Had to double check that before I said 30 through 39. Because that was what
Wow,
I was
that's a
about
lot
to
of
say.
content.
We can go back.
A lot to cover.
Let's go back.
It's a lot to cover. You all know me. I played one of 9 characters, but everyone else, introduce yourselves. Go with Bucky first.
Hey, I'm Bucky. I play Ben.
Nick.
I'm Nick. I play Kent Brickwood of the East Farthing Brickwoods.
Morgan.
I'm Morgan, and I play Charlotte.
Josh.
I'm Josh, and I'm your DM.
There we go.
There we go.
We would be here for the entire hour if we started listing off all the characters you voiced. So
I mean, is it really that much?
I mean, it's the
I think
whole
so.
world,
Yeah.
Josh.
yeah.
Let me get the scroll.
It's also funny because we've gone, as of 39, I was sitting here thinking, just as you said, all the characters that Josh has voiced, and I was like, we forgot about Ismark.
Yeah.
All through those episodes in the house.
It's the whole
Yeah.
thing.
The whole.
The whole game.
It hasn't been much, but I forgot, there's also the Tomb of Annihilation characters. We have some Hugh Hackner stuff.
You
I
have
actually did write down a list of all of the NPCs in the game that we met and sent it to someone in the Discord. Allison. I sent it to Allison. I wrote a whole list of NPCs that you voiced.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Thanks. XLII 1356 was in the chat, was starting to list them off, like Thorn, Rose, Cultist dudes. That's episode 1 through 9 in the bag. Done.
Yeah.
You got all-
Except for like the Banshee, the nanny as
Did
well.
she
There's
talk
some
at all?
There's like kind of noises.
That's
it.
sound effects.
that
That's
can-
not dialogue.
He made that noise.
That's
That was her.
dialogue, though. That's not. Or that's sound effects, not dialogue. Come on now. You
Yeah,
work in
well-
post production. You know the difference.
Yeah, it'd be the subtitle, little brackets, and like moan.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
all done through sound effects.
Moans in Spanish.
Because it would be some guy with a wrapping paper tube and a trash can, be like, that was a terrible image on screen. But that's what it would have been.
I'm sorry, Drew. I missed. I must have blinked at just the wrong.
Did you
time.
turn into a fucking demon?
No, there was just it was just
It
one of
looked like I
those.
was sucking a dick, everybody. Just put that out there.
God, what a glorious way to start this.
Hey, welcome to our
Oh.
podcast.
Yeah, where we can talk about some really creepy stuff that happened in 38.
Also
Freaked
dicks.
out
Also
everyone
dicks.
but Bucky.
And butts.
Yes, and dicks
A lot
and
of
butts.
butts.
A lot of butts.
Josh still trying to get us back on track.
Never. We will not
I
be on
tried.
track ever. But actually, yeah, let's get on track for a second and talk about 38. Who wants to
so-
start that conversation? Because it can't be Morgan or I in this case, I feel like, because our character showed up,
Well, 38, you guys were
We
there.
were there. I'm aware.
We're outside the house. We started outside the house.
I'm aware
Yeah.
of
And we
that,
were
but
all
what
like,
I
hey.
mean is our character showed up more or less just kind of tagging along with your adventure at this point.
We're the new kids, so we're kind of following your
Yeah, we're not
lead.
invested yet.
Yeah, you
Actually-
weren't emotionally attached to the house.
Actually, I want to go to Morgan for this because obviously, Drew, you were not playing the same character, but you've been inside the house before. Morgan, you have only listened to the house.
Yeah.
So it was your first time going through.
It was my first time in the actual house as a player and not listening to it.
What were you
Never
thinking
forget your
before you
first
went
time,
in?
you know?
Well, I think from the fact that we had to cut probably about 4 hours of me just going, was
Approximately 4 hours.
approximately 4 hours. Like basically the entire recording session was just me going like,
Anytime you
my
weren't
tummy ache. I don't like this. I'm not a big spooky person. I don't like scary stuff. I'm a big honkin' weenie when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I was not happy. But I think there's actually a part in maybe 38 or 39 where someone says, like, we've been here before. Everybody knows where to go. And I'm like, hello. Haven't actually been here. Following your lead. I don't trust any of you yet.
Everything was so different that even the characters that did be
Yeah.
had been in the house before, we didn't really know where to go.
There's a lot of our taking initiative parties like greatest downfall is our just like fuck it, I know what I'm doing attitude.
Is it our downfall or is it our just like
No,
our
it's definitely resulted in half of a TPK.
This is true, but it leads to all the drama. It's us just being like fuck it.
I mean, I think we are like maybe a good portion into 39 before Donna was like, "Oh my god, I hope that the whole house hasn't changed." And I was like, what do you mean? Of course the whole house has changed. There's a fucking elevator room.
Yep.
Which
I wouldn't. Would you call that an elevator? I'd call it a. I don't know.
I'd call it a Me Too moment if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I was God. There's from our last podcast. Was it of Annihilation? What was the last podcast one that we did?
Podcast of Foes.
Podcast of Foes. There's a moment where it makes me laugh every time I think of it or remember it, where Drew's character gets a leech attached to his chest.
Oh yeah.
Drew just goes, "I've been gripped." And that's exactly how I felt about the Hands house elevator.
Just felt uncomfortable the whole time.
Good.
But I have to give Josh some super props because later he told me that a lot of the stuff that ended up being very spooky and scary, it was just stuff he was making up on the fly. I think him killing the wolf and like sawing off its head and doing that was all improv.
Yeah, half was improv. I knew I wanted Thorn to be dancing around with a wolf head on. I just didn't know how I was going to get there. But a lot of the stuff inside was actually, I would say half and half. Half improv and half really evil shower thoughts.
It's really amazing to get a little inside scoop. We've been past that moment for a while now, and of course, in there, you don't really know what's improv, what's already written in the book. And now, I mean, I can't really speak for Morgan, but for me, when running my own game, it's really awesome seeing what is in the book versus what has been improvised and or enhanced by the DM. You could really just take this like core story and run with it, do whatever you want. So whenever you say, "Oh, I made that part up," I'm like, "Wow, great! That's amazing. It flows seamlessly. You don't even notice like a shift in tone. It just works really well." So
like one of the cardinal rules that like we always learned in theater was that like you're the one that has the script. The audience has not looked at the script before. You could do whatever you want on that stage, and they will think that it is supposed to be in the play.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be in the scene.
it's a good idea.
Same thing with the DM. If you're DMing something and you're immediately like, "I'm just going to throw this in there," your players are not going to know that this was completely improvised on the spot, and they're going to think it's totally organic and it's supposed to happen.
I mean, there's even a moment where Bucky, you say something like, "I hate every single person who was a part of writing this module. I hate everything about this whole situation. I hate it." And it was really funny because you're going on and on about how much you hate these people. And Josh is like, "I actually built this from, like, this is entirely me at this point."
I think that was Nick who brought that up. And John was like, "That's not the book, man." Yeah, the reason I also wanted to do improv with some of it is, one, I like to wing things a lot better. It just feels more natural. And also, I knew specifically Morgan, Nick, and Donna were going to be freaking out. And I wanted to take what they were freaking out about and then amplify it. And if I wrote everything down and went by the book, I don't think I could have hit those points as well. So I wanted to be a little bit looser with it and see where you guys went and see how that can be manipulated. Because, Nick, as you were saying, like, you have the book in front of you and you can change things. The first time through the Death House was blatantly 100% by the book. Like, that through and through. So in order for you guys to go back in again, it would be really boring if it was the same exact house.
Which is actually why I did what I did in the beginning when I was like, we're going to go to the Hunter's Den, because that's where we have to go first. Because I was going to be like, we're going to chest, see if this is where I was going to go. And if it's different, we know everything's different. We're just going along for the ride.
Really smart. That was a really smart move. Yeah.
Yeah. Even some like room placement of where you guys were going was also on the fly stuff. Because I wanted to even throw myself off. That way I didn't know what was going to happen either.
It also helped us with, I mean, it helped and hindered, and I think it giving you a little bit of freedom to say, okay, now we're here, because we spent, I mean, there's probably a ton that got chopped out of us literally just
Touching
debating,
things.
literally just talking about what we were gonna potentially maybe do forever. And so I'm really glad that the episodes turned out the way they did, because I think they came out really well, and it feels good. But like there was just so much of us standing in the
I
same
mean,
room.
all of episode 38 was just us on the first floor.
Yeah.
It was just us in the one room. We're outside, we were in the house, and then we went into the one room, and then it was just the whole episode was
We
in
just
that room.
the whole time was just like anxiety with the taking initiative team.
Yep.
It's interesting seeing, you know, all that was probably, is that the biggest game we've played with the most amount of people, or have we? Well, it's one of the bigger games, and it's just
The most amount of people we've ever had in a game was 6. That was when Celeste was in right before then.
Right.
And that was also for Podcast of Annihilation.
it's interesting seeing, you know, all of these people trying to solve a problem in their own way. You know, like I love the episodes that you hear, you know, Bucky throw an idea out there. You hear Drew, Morgan, you hear everyone throw out their like little variations of what they think we should do, and then having us all try to figure out what is the actual move that we're going to make. It's kind of cool because, you know, in some stories you have like a clear leader who makes the decisions and everyone follows suit. But in this, as the characters have progressed, you know, Kent's trying to make his own decisions. He's listening to Ven, but you know, kind of going on his own way. Callista is clearly has her own opinion about everything, and you know, everyone is just really different, and it's cool to see how we problem solve together as a team. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, John, I remember you mentioned after we were done, because nothing, kind of like in the first 2.5 episodes of the actual show itself, nothing really happened. You guys walked through and you were wondering what was the trigger? Like, was there anything that was going to happen? And my only trigger was that if you didn't follow Thorn.
Yeah.
That was it. And you guys eventually just kept going that way. And I thought at some point you will back up, and then I was just going to start like using some of the mechanics of the house against you. But that never really happened. So you guys were able to just push on through.
To be honest, in my mind, you set us up for that, because right in the beginning you said, we basically asked, so we're like, well, we want to get to the end, and you were like, oh well, I can't do that, you'll get there eventually though. So I was immediately like, oh okay, we'll get to the end, cool, we're going along for the ride until we get to the end then.
Yeah.
It's weird how like little sentences will change, because honestly, if you probably hadn't said that, like one of us would have deviated from the plan and left.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, what just to take a couple steps back and put that sentence into another person's mouth, what if Strahd was on that first floor and said that exact same thing?
Yeah.
Would you have wanted to go through as he suggested, or would you have tried to go around it because you think he's screwing with you?
Well, that's different because it's Strahd.
Yeah.
Strahd prepped the house.
Right.
Yeah, it was, and we definitely debated going back and forth about like whether or not we were going to follow Thorn or not.
We also had history with Thorn, so we didn't have history with Strahd. So if Strahd said something, it's a different.
It's immediate, like
right. And I think there's a moment when Ven discovers the tethers, that like someone is like, yay, he's not evil, he's being controlled, and it was like everybody wanted to like Thorn, and everybody wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. But we also had that moment, I think, that I was like, even if we decided not to follow him, he's here and he's listening to us. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
He'll just pop up and mess with us somewhere else.
right.
yeah.
Right. But yeah, and going off of like leadership and stuff, this was like you're still getting introduced to Krusk and Charlie and who they are, and so this was an opportunity for us not to do so much problem solving, but make pithy commentary in the background and just be kind of supportive.
Yeah. I mean, out of the group, Krusk and Charlotte only knew Vin.
Right.
So, like, everyone else was new.
Mm-hmm.
Drew, I have a question for you because I didn't get to talk to you about this. What was it like as a player seeing one of your characters in that position?
Naked.
Naked?
Well, not naked. Well, yes, naked, but
Stick
like
out
of your control. You could see him. He was there, but not yours anymore.
I'm probably the worst person to ask about that because honestly, if something makes sense to a story, I'm on board. Like
I figured that was an answer. I just wanted to-
I don't mind like in the game of Mask I'm playing with that's not being recorded. I gave up control of one of my PCs because he's on a break. Like he doesn't know if he wants to be a superhero, so he stopped. And I was like, you know what? It makes sense for him to be controlled like an NPC currently. Here you go. But for this, I knew where Mikhail was. I knew what was happening. So I mean, I knew he was going to come back because we kind of talked about it a little bit at the beginning, like when Ferguson first showed up.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't something that would have bothered me. I may have felt more of a sense of betrayal if, let's say, for example, I was playing a game and my character died, and then you turned my dead character into the main villain. I probably would have felt a little more sense of betrayal because it's like, but what the fuck was I doing before he died?
Yeah.
We also didn't spend a lot of time with Mikhail
Not
in the
really.
house.
No, we kind of brushed through him.
Yeah, because he was so non-responsive.
Right, and you had another goal anyway. You knew where his soul was, and you knew
Right.
this was his body walking around.
So
It just kind of worked out. I mean, you had like plans for Mikhail going forward, and it just kind of worked out in that moment when it happened in episode 9, where you were just like, "This is where it ends for him," kind of thing. And like,
I mean,
you all the plans that you had were just kind of like, "Well, that's all gone now."
when I did the dumb move and killed myself in episode 9, I figured that was anything that happened to him at that point. It's not under my control.
Yeah. And Josh was very open about where Mikhail was going to be.
Yeah,
you know,
we definitely talked about it, and I remember talking about it, and I was like, hey, yeah, have Mikhail's body come back and wreck house if you want to. Like, go right ahead.
I do have a question for Josh, though, which is, what was the purpose of him being naked?
He was naked
Hilarity.
because he was in the Burgomaster's mansion initially, and Abraham was taking care of his body. So since he was taking care of him, making sure he was clean and whatever, that's what I figured was going to be happening. So he was just in that mindset.
Abraham was not molesting a dead body.
No.
clean, making sure he's clean.
I just because maybe I'm poking at something I shouldn't. But like I just know that like Mikhail was part of like the team of Strahd that like sacked Robia. So I just didn't know, was he naked the whole time?
Well, so timeline wise, Mikhail was in the Burgomaster's mansion. Abraham was taking care of him. Callista, Ismark, the kids, they were all in that area. In the middle of that, Strahd came by, killed Abraham, hung everybody else, and sent Mikhail into the town to slaughter people, which is when Kent and Van Richten got there.
Mm-hmm.
And Mikhail went straight into the house. So him outside and killing people was not a very long process. And he just ended up in the house itself. Also putting Mikhail, this dead friend, out in just like, there's no hiding anything. This is him. There is nothing in the way for you to go, maybe it's somebody else or something controlled. Nope.
Gotcha. Okay.
I hate that driver.
Yeah, sorry guys.
It's also a really cool idea. Just like story wise, you're just stripping down this character to just this husk of a person.
Mm-hmm.
He's no longer Mikhail. He's just this like being that's being controlled. So the idea of having him naked, whether it was intentional or not, really like actually goes deeper. I think that you could take a deeper meaning of it.
That's a good way to look at it, and it wasn't fully intended that way, but I'm glad it worked out that way.
Yeah.
I think that covered my question for Drew necessarily. Did you guys have any, because we have 5 minutes left in this section, did you guys have any questions for me?
Give us more like, I'd say more like 7
big?
or something, because we started a little bit late.
7 minutes.
How big we talking? Like this? Like
You
imagine
open your hands, and I'll tell you when to stop.
Whoa!
Keep going.
Whoa.
Keep going.
Whoa, what? Are you kidding me? Look, it's out of the frame. Oh my god!
There you go.
All right.
Old basketball now.
Yeah.
Impossible. Let me start from the beginning.
Let
Tell
me
me
try.
I thought we agreed there was pouches.
I'll go I'll go reverse.
Okay.
And right in chat at that moment.
Yes.
I love it. Okay.
My man.
Dragons may or may not have pouches. I'm gonna say they don't. Doesn't matter. Mikhail does not have a pouch. Mikhail has. I don't know. I didn't really think about it.
So, did anyone have any before we go? We can't obviously pass the basement because that's where you guys ended up.
I know. I'm like trying to figure out where we could.
I mean, I
was
got
there
a question for you, Josh.
Yeah.
Why you gotta be so rude?
About what?
Why you gotta be so rude?
About what?
Oh,
And then the house itself was supposed to be, messing with you. And I John, I knew it wasn't gonna be messing with you. And Drew, you played so much Cthulhu, I didn't think you would blink at anything.
Honestly, if anyone could make me feel uncomfortable, I'd give them $5. Like I don't get uncomfortable.
Away to Reddit I go.
Listen, if you do that right now, you've got to show it on camera, and that's just going to upset everyone else.
Oh no.
But I knew, like Nick, especially since the first game, you were like, I'm gonna have nightmares now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Morgan, when we were talking about you joining the podcast, and then you started talking about how much you don't really like horror stuff, like, well, this would be fun.
It's going to be a good place for you to be.
Guys, I persevered through Strahd so that I could get to things that were not Strahd.
Hey, to be, you did good.
Yeah. And that's honestly, like, Charlie is so bubbly and ridiculous that she's kind of nice to have around with the doom and gloom in Nightmare Town.
Well, I have a question. This might lean towards to Bucky. This main campaign, we're running a very, very long story, and it's very, very horror element centric and very scary, so super dark. What is your plan? Without going into too much, what is your plan on the next story that we will tell? Are we going are we trying to keep the same tone? Are we going a little bit lighter so I don't have to cry myself to sleep every other week?
It's gonna be very different. This story is written very differently. This is a lot more high fantasy, a lot more like epic battle, epic just everything. You guys are thrust into a lot of situations that you have to deal with, rather than being like, hey, we're in Barovia and everything's sad. It's more of you get a more like traditional D&D experience.
Also, XLII 1356, my gender neutral person robot. I would like more of a horror element.
Oh.
I would much prefer that over horror.
Is that my pronunciation that they're
That
making
could be
fun of?
arranged
Yeah.
in the future.
I know we
Oh, it's Max.
we still have a lot of Strahd to go. I just want to make sure that that our listeners know that it's not always going to be so doom and gloom. As you can tell by some of our bonus content and some of our side games, we don't always
By the way,
have to.
if you're not a patron and you are just so tired of hearing the doom and gloom, yes, go become a patron and listen to pretty much any of the side projects, with the exception of Meanwhile in Barovia.
Go watch The Graveyard.
Yeah. Also, meanwhile in Barovia, dude, the Beast. There was some
to be fair,
silly shit.
the Beast was ridiculous.
And Marionette, we have Tank and Chipper.
All right, fair, but they're still set in Barovia, is what I mean. So if you wanted like something totally different, more goofy and strange, all the other stuff.
Yeah. I'm just saying, $10 patrons got a version of Sailor Scout Ven this time around.
That's true.
So if you're looking for a little bit of a break,
that may or may not become a phone background for like a month.
That's hilarious. That's honestly, it was so good.
Thank you.
I expect you to top yourself, Morgan.
I don't know if you can. I mean, I believe you have the skill, but that you just nailed it out of the park with that one.
Nick, did you see the little doodle of Kent I did?
Yes. Oh, so cute. It captured that moment perfectly.
Yeah.
Also, if you want something a little bit silly, in 11 days, I believe it's August 21st to August 23rd, one episode per day for 3 days on both the D&D is for Nerds and Taking Initiative channels. We will have Azaka's Gambit. which is going to be a little side mini episode thing with Nick playing Biter and
What?
Joel playing Thunder and Raindrop.
No way.
To reprise our roles, and it was ridiculous, as you'd expect.
Yes.
I'm still a little salty that we did not go with Hackenstone's Gambit 2 Electric Boogaloo. I thought that would have been a good name.
It was too on the nose, man.
I know. I like the new one. I'm just
too on the nose.
Son of the Hackenstone.
Oh,
Your guy would have been the ghost of Hugh Hackenstone.
oh boy.
No.
Oh boy.
I hate the ghost of Hackenstone harder. Yes.
Harder.
Hackenstone.
There we go.
No.
Chat. Thank you.
Yes.
Max.
That's Max.
Yeah.
Yes.
I saw it was Max. I knew it was Max.
Yep.
I knew Max's name forever ago. He's been in the chat a few times.
Too fast. Too Hackenstone.
He told me never to reveal his
like that.
secret Twitch name.
What was that?
He told me to never reveal his secret Twitch name.
Oh, we did like 5 times now.
Yeah.
No. He told me that before. You all know now, so it's fine.
Okay, we won't say it again.
He was keeping it from everyone else.
Gotcha.
More of as
he's
a
gonna
joke
be-
to see how long he could say strange things that were kind of revealing before someone was like, "Wait a second, what?" No, you already came out. You can't be like, "No, Drew, you've already admitted who you were."
So are we
You
going
ruined
to
your own
questions?
plan.
Was there anything
Yeah.
else you guys want to
Questions.
cover?
Let's go to questions.
Preguntas.
All right, so here we go. Let's see. First one. All right.
Should we start with Max? Because
Let's
Kazel.
start with Kazel from the Discord, and here's one that I really like. Alternate reality question: the second you entered the Death House, you were transported back in time to the first time you were there at level 1, but with your memories intact. What do you do differently?
What are the hunters?
Solid question. Well, fun fact about the Hunter's Den: if you go there, that door cannot be opened until you open it from underneath.
Oh well, we'll just smack the fucking shit out of it.
No, magically.
Oh, well, that's stupid.
You know what I do? I go in the dumbwaiter.
Oh wait,
Get
to
out of
quote
the
Drew,
dumbwaiter.
To
I
quote
do it.
Drew,
I do it.
that's
Just-
bullshit.
Nothing's gonna happen to me. I'll be fine. I know I will be fine.
So what you're
I go in
saying,
the
Bucky,
dumbwaiter.
is first piece of merch is just my face with a speech bubble that says "That's bullshit." This is
Yes.
bullshit.
It's just a red beard.
You say that almost every time we
I
record.
do. It's kind of what I do.
Once a session. It's a little checkbox in my notes if I had notes.
If we were playing bingo, it would be free. It would be the free space.
Now I gotta change up what I say once a session. Damn. All right.
Yep.
So Bucky, what would you do differently?
What would I do differently? Probably make sure Mikhail doesn't kill himself.
Well, Mikhail's not there.
Mikhail's not there now.
Wait, what?
You're transported back.
Oh, that's right. We're all
You're
transported
level
back.
1. Mikhail's not there, so everyone's transported back.
What do we
I
do?
take all Mikhail's weapons away from
He's
him.
not there.
Huh.
All right, fine.
It's the first time we're in there. Avoid everything, and just go right to the end.
Good.
Yeah,
Nick,
And then when we get to the end, just leave.
Nick, what would you do differently in the Death House?
I'd go in the dumbwaiter. Like I would. That's clearly
You're
the answer.
obsessed with the dumbwaiter. I love it.
Well, the thing is also, I don't know if we did anything. Well, first of all, I wouldn't die.
You don't know that.
I wouldn't. No. I wouldn't like. Yeah. A good point. I probably would still die, but I don't
After
think that.
deep insistence about going into the dumbwaiter, I wouldn't die.
Well, I think
Dying,
we
guys.
I think we progressed the way we should have progressed. I mean, I wouldn't have. I would check every suit of armor. I would check every door. I would check for traps. I do all of that.
Climb over a mountain.
But the real thing that I would want to do is I'd want to go into the dumbwaiter.
All right.
Like
all
that's all it is.
right. I am going to ask Morgan because it is important what Morgan would do, even though she wasn't there originally. But I want to point out that in the chat, Valanda says, if you can't open the door, maybe go through the wall. They're rarely ever magically protected. And that's true.
It's
Do not want to go through the wall.
so
But Morgan,
Smart.
if we enter the house and everyone's transported back, what would Charlie be doing?
I'm trying to think of like what spells are available for a cleric at level
Level
1. Are you checking?
Yeah, there's another question on here I was just prepping for because I'm not going to be going back in the house. You already saw what I'm going to do with it.
Oh, okay.
But cleric first level spells, you got some Bane, Bless, Command, Water stuff, Cure Wounds, Detect Magic, Guiding
Oh, we have a cleric. Oh, it'd be so much better.
Yeah. Honestly, can I say for the record that if I had been in a house the first time with Mikhail, that end would have happened a lot differently because my God, what would have happened if there was a pragmatist in the fucking room? Yeah, because there was a decided lack of thought.
No, there was thought. It just was a different thought.
It was just all done by Drew, and no one had time to fucking do anything about
it.
Listen,
you make decisions and you live with the consequences.
In all honesty, Drew probably saved the entire party.
Oh. Could you imagine if he wouldn't have done that?
I don't understand
podcast ever.
About this module is that if the first area at level 1 requires you to kill a party member in order to get out of it.
So it doesn't.
Could all run away.
So there's a loophole in it, and if you plan on running Death House yourself, or be in it, ignore this portion.
Earmuffs, everyone.
Earmuffs.
You have to sacrifice anything. So if you were able to say,
oh shit, we should have sacrificed Bartholomew.
Well, Bartholomew was already dead.
Well, she didn't know that.
She didn't know that. But yeah, if anyone had like a small animal companion, if someone found some rats or something, killing that would fulfill it.
Interesting. Anything else you would have done differently, Morgan?
Well, having healing would have been nice for this party.
It would have been nice. It would have been very nice.
Keeping Nick alive, which is, I'm going to be, spoiler alert, is about 85% of my job going forward. It's just keeping Kent alive.
I appreciate it. I honestly
keeping him stabilized.
Yeah.
Charlotte is so swole from the squat she has to do Spare the Dying.
I literally would.
You got that Kardashian booty, okay?
You wonder why her and Crust spend so much time somewhere else.
I would drop, and I would then look to Morgan in the chat and be like,
"Come fix it!
Come on!"
I get knocked down.
I get up again.
Charlie picks me up again. I get knocked down.
I mean, you went a slightly different direction than I did because I was thinking if everyone's transported back, Krusk and Charlie would just be outside somewhere, like just be outside of Barovia. Bye, we're out of here. Although if we did go back and if I was Mikhail and he was there, he probably would have killed somebody else or something else.
Lawful good doesn't do that.
I mean, that's the whole point, is that the house is supposed to fuck with you.
Okay.
But no, Mikhail did the lawful good thing, which is he saved his friends.
God, you could have cut your nails. You could have been like, I sacrificed this overgrown pinky nail.
Hey, it said died. Nails are already dead.
No.
Next question.
All right. So let's see. This is also from Kazel on the Discord. What's your favorite moment you recorded that didn't make it into an episode?
Oh God.
We can't talk about one of them.
This is true.
Mostly the stuff that we cut from the episode is because it should not be aired. Though I'm trying to think of something that
I honestly can say a lot of the stuff that I personally love that gets cut from the episode is stuff I'm considering doing when I have a minute. Is all the fucking pre-show banter we have.
We do have a lot of pre-show.
Just getting up to when we actually start, because the way we start every episode is Josh gives us a recap. We cut all that out because we don't need to go over it again. So he gives us a basic recap of what happened in the last session, and then we go into it. But before he actually gets to it, we just go off for like a while in just whatever direction we get all the tangents out of the way immediately. And then we're like, all right.
One point, we told Nick about Dream Daddy.
That was exactly where I was going to have a moment.
It was so fucking funny, and I wish it was recorded, but it wasn't. Also, a good portion of our recap is reminding Donna what happened to her own character.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
it was.
it was.
Yeah.
Because she would
She's
like,
what?
what the fuck? I don't remember that shit.
Who
Yeah.
did that?
Yeah.
You did.
Who? Wait,
You
why
did
do I
that.
have everything? There was several times in the house where she was like, "Bitch, what?
Yeah.
You have the deed to the house or like the windmill?" And she was like, "But where? What?
Where?
What are we talking about?
I don't what? Bitch, why do I have everything?"
One of my favorite things is Nick. Every time we sync, we all count down and clap, and then Nick always says something ridiculous. From everything from I remember he said I like turtles, and fuck you chicken strips one time.
Yep.
You chicken
I mean,
strip.
That one I saved as a little midi clip.
We do. We should put that out on Twitter or something like that.
I think we should all just be recording from like the moment we turn on our computers, because even before we sync up and start recording, there has been some really good stuff that has been not even recorded.
Yeah,
Especially when we were with Adam and Joel.
Oh.
man.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Adam and
God.
Joel
One of the
are
best-
hilarious.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
One of the best
There
syncing
for
moments.
that.
Oh.
Yeah, one of the best syncing moments was 3, 2, 1, and Joel, while he clapped, he said clap.
Yes, it did.
And he was like, did I just say that?
I love the implication of that is that he didn't even realize he did it.
He had
just
no
went,
idea.
Clap.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
I wish that I had video of the session that Drew and I were basically just listening in, because we were writing in a Google document the whole time. I think we talked about this last time, and we were still reacting to things, and and there's a moment where you get to find out that was it Vladimir
and Godfrey were husbands.
Godfrey were
Yeah,
husbands.
yeah.
And I got one of my pride flags and was just like dramatically waving it across. But we've had some good moments like that. There's also just some jokes that
There was another moment I thought of. There was another moment I just thought of where we had to cut it because there was literally no context to what was happening. It was when Celeste was tuning into our game, but wasn't actually.
Yes.
She had just left, like her character, like Van Richten left, and she was still tuning in afterwards. This was after the tower.
Yeah,
And
Morgan
we-
was there too in chat.
Yeah, Morgan was there in chat, and Celeste basically made Ferguson's backstory for him.
She didn't make
in
my
the
backstory.
background.
She
typing
named
shit in
things
chat.
for me.
It was so fucking
But she
funny.
did.
Yeah.
She helped a lot, and it was great and very much appreciated.
It was so funny.
I remember, I basically listened into the episode before you meet Roz, and I was not used to staying up as late as we recorded. So like the last fight at the tower, I was physically there listening to it. I was not mentally there. I was asleep.
Oh
I
yeah.
think I like slid out of frame or something like that. And Josh was like, "Well, she's
out.
She's out."
Oh, I don't blame you. We tend to record fairly late. All right,
Yeah.
next question. I think we all answered that one.
Yeah.
Josh, I know what you were prepping for, so I'm going to ask that one right now.
Okay.
Casual from the Discord asks, what's the best spell you can create by adding, removing, or changing one letter? Examples include create water, or create waiter, remove purse, and overland fight.
For me,
been
I
prepping,
looked
so
up
yeah,
a couple
please go ahead.
spells. The first one that came up to me was I saw magic jar, which I would change that into a magic bar, and you can just summon at the spot, and you can have a little party with your friends.
Beautiful. I have
Magic barf.
magic barf.
Barf. If you add an F.
What does that do? I'm not sure I want to know.
That's just gross.
What does it do?
I mean,
Describe the spell.
in the spirit of Sam Riegel, I'm gonna say that if you barf someplace, then you can scry
The barf.
through the barf.
All right. Mine is, and I said it on the Discord the other day, mine is going to remain dog cloud.
Yeah.
It's just a cloud of dogs. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
now I should have prepared for this.
No, this
So when
is
it
better.
rains from the
Alright.
clouds, does it just make a poodle?
Yes. Yes, it does.
I got one. I got one.
Josh.
That's the only thing I can think of. Alter Elf.
Mm.
It only
Mm.
works on elves.
Only works on elves. That sounds like a second edition D&D spell right there.
It would be Bucky who comes up with a magical transformation girl
It would be.
Yeah.
spell.
Nick, come on. Pick a spell. You got to know a spell.
Instead of dream, it would be cream, and it would just be ice cream, just like.
I didn't expect you to go there, and I'm glad you did.
Oh, was that? Oh, sorry. I was just literally scrolling. That was the first thing I came up.
Pure
It's
Hounds
just
is
like
a
the
good one.
It's like the gun from Orgasmo. That's what you just made.
Yes.
I promise I'll come up with a better one for next week.
I think it's pretty good. Yeah, and Max says Cure Hounds in the chat.
Oh,
That's a good one.
Or it says sleep, you just get sheep.
Sheep, yeah.
Sheep.
Which, by the way, that's a pretty good one, because if you yell sheep at someone and sheep materializes and hits them in the face, they're going to be off balance for a second.
Ooh, I got another one. Stoon beam. It'll get to you eventually.
Soon beam. All right, let's go to... Okay, all right, this one...
good. That's really good.
All right, this is the Kazel hour, basically. But this one's for Morgan directly. Kazel asks, for Morgan, having visited the Death House after only hearing about it, how did you live up to your expectations? Your actions have been amazing so far. And he has a bonus mid-question question. How many episodes have you heard before joining the podcast? Or had you heard before joining the podcast?
I listened to everything before I joined the podcast.
Wow, you are committed.
She was fully prepared to the fucking bullshit she was getting into.
Yeah.
She knew what was happening.
I think I maybe was like a couple of episodes behind when I was listening into the fight where I swept through. But I caught up beforehand because I wanted to sort of have an idea about where we were going and what we were doing. As for my expectations of the house, I think Josh did a really good job. Again, like I spent most of that episode just like having a tummy ache and complaining, which I excel at complaining. So there was a lot to be cut. But like a lot of
Okay, he's asking in chat how many episodes were out. The timeline was on.
I think up to about 20 or so were out at the time. We were not as close to the backlog then.
Yeah.
no, yeah, it was
She listened in for the tower.
Yeah, which was episodes 24, 25, and 26.
right.
But yeah.
I joined. I can tell you, I joined right around where Ferguson joined because
Ferguson joined in episode 15.
15. So like right before that, when we were dealing with Abraham, that's when I think I started recording because I hated fucking Abraham. I hated him. And I was really concerned I was going to have to play with Abraham. And then I think I was told that he goes away.
Mm-hmm.
So it was right around there. This was back in October, I believe. Because at the time I was working exclusively on political campaigns. So I had a primary day basically on September 12th. I slept through the rest of September because I was sleep deprived and strung out. And then October we started recording.
Because we woke you up when September ended.
Yeah. And then I was on a campaign for almost all of November. And then we were recording again, I believe, in December. So, yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
You hit it off the first day you started recording with us. I was like, this girl's cool.
Yeah.
It was because we recorded a different game first.
We recorded into Ivy Mansion, which is available for patrons. Where I play Clementine. She's a beagle. No, that's Roz.
Yeah.
Clementine.
Clementine
has more southern voice. That's Clementine.
And I realized in that game, Nick, you played Sebastian Silvertongue,
Mhm.
which I was looking up Matt Lillard's characters that he played at the Stream of Many Eyes,
Mhm.
one of which was Bobo Silvertongue, the bard.
What?
It was meant to be.
So at
Meant
some
to
point in
be.
time, I will have a chat with him and see
Mhm.
if there can be a relation if he ever comes back.
That's really funny.
Oh, there has
Good
to be.
My buddy Hannah has been listening to the backlog of stuff, and she was listening to Ivy Mansion, and one of the first things she messaged me was like, wait, is Donna playing a gender-bended version of Bucky?
I always
like,
forget about that.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
only just a gender bent version, but anti.
like
Everything.
the Bizarro.
Timeline jump.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me.
Yeah.
All right, I will say, never mind. If you want to listen to something and you're not a patron and you want to hear something funny, just go listen to that because Anti-John is the best.
It's really funny.
So good.
It's really funny.
Worst.
Joanna
Hate that
Buckmistress.
guy.
I loved it.
Hate anti-me.
Can I ask a question?
I was actually going to say someone else ask a question because, you know,
Are we out of questions?
we're not out of questions, but just someone else ask one off the list.
The only 3 questions that are not from Kazel are all questions to Drew.
That's true.
Ooh.
So I'm going to actually combine C. Tate's and Polish.
And I was avoiding those because I didn't want to ask myself a question. It felt weird.
Pinky Chew, we're not going to answer your question right
Not
away.
yet, no. That's why it's purple. We half answered it at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to keep the one about what's going to happen with Michaela later. We're going to keep that off to the side because obviously we don't know yet.
Not
But
yet.
Polish Ogre said, should Drew consider rolling up at least 3 more characters to have on standby? Which, side note, met Polish Ogre over at Gen Con, and he's flipping awesome. So
Very tall man.
follow him and Corpses
Fucking
and
cool.
Curios.
Yeah, go listen to
His,
Corpses and Curios. It's his
Hell yes.
podcast that he plays GURPS.
Yes. So should Drew consider rolling up at least 3 more characters to have? And C. Tate said, Dear Drew, why do you keep making characters that you despise?
Quick thing, the C-Tate one wasn't fully a question. I'm not sure he made it as an actual, hey, ask this, but it made me laugh, so I stuck it on the questions list. And to answer them both, 1, I don't despise any of my characters. I disliked Abraham because he started as a joke that wore thin very, very quickly, and I was like, I don't want to play this character for very long. He was a one-shot character that I made the mistake of trying to put into a campaign. That was a bad idea. Don't do that.
No.
As for should I roll up 3 more characters on standby, I have like 12 on standby. Don't worry. If a character of mine ever goes away, I will be back soon.
When Roz died, I printed out 5 character sheets. 5 new ones. Because I was like,
Yes.
I'm going to be prepared.
I've got ones that are actually written up, and I have ones that are just vague ideas that are kind of floating around in my head that I will use at some point.
I feel like all of us eventually, like, just even playing a game like this, you always have that mentality of, like, at any given moment, some shit could go wrong, and my character could die, and we always have that, like, vague concept in our head of, like, what would be something else that I would play if something should happen to my character? What would be another class I'd be interested in? So I feel like that's just a standard for most.
I mean, at a certain point, and it's you just start playing and you're like, oh, but this character would be really cool, and oh, this character would be really cool, and you just start creating them, and it becomes what you do. If you're not running games, it becomes one of the big things you do is just keep creating them.
I'm the exception to that rule. I don't do that.
I mean,
You're stubborn.
I don't have any
I
characters
was going to call it
prepared, but
boring,
yet
Bucky.
I don't have any characters prepared, but yet Bucky and Drew will all of a sudden tell me about some like homebrew thing, and I'm like, oh my god, I need to do that, and I'll just I'll take it and run with it. Every new character or class or race you tell me about, I'm like, well, now I need to find another campaign to run or to be in so I can play this new thing.
I've been thinking a lot lately about like interesting mechanics to play as a player. I've been thinking about how to incorporate disability into a player. So I've been thinking about doing like a deaf character and having like what that would look like in terms of like Mama can lip read like a motherfucker, you know, but like obviously like any perception check involving hearing is going to be a disadvantage. But like how to interact with the rest of the party, and that it might be more of a one-shot deal. The only thing I can think of is like Joey Lucas and Kenny from the West Wing of like how to have like a person there to help interpret, which would be kind of a burden on a main campaign. But I've been thinking a lot about like how to create like new and diverse, interesting characters and like how the mechanics would work for that.
I have an idea for you that we should discuss after this that just popped in my head.
I also, if you want to do that, I've seen several people post homebrew rules for disabled characters.
I've seen a couple as well.
Yeah. But also, this is interesting. It's not related to D&D itself, but the Pathfinder 2nd Edition playtest has come out, and one of the things about languages is you may sign because you are deaf or can't speak. It's built right into the rules, and it talks about how if you sign the language, you sign in the sign language of your region. So there are still multiple languages that are all signed.
I would love to see Orcish sign language.
Oh, it's probably the middle finger a lot. Let's be honest.
Smash.
But yeah, I very much have character ADD, and because I like designing characters and I like doing that kind of stuff, a good portion of my buddy Hannah's and I like Facebook Messenger chats are just like, what if we did a character like this? So I feel ya.
Yes, Undead Bandit has varying heights of the middle finger. That's Orcish and sign language.
Yeah.
We have like 5 minutes, so do you want to do one last question?
We might as well. They're both from Castle, so who wants to pick
What?
one?
I'm gonna say let's put the one about Ven on hold because that would be good for a future
That's
episode.
fair. Let's do that.
Sure.
And the last question from Castle is, what's your also John? There was a question that came up in Discord today that we did not move to the sheet.
Oh yeah.
So we should do that at a different point in time. But this one is, what's your favorite TTRPG system to play, and how about to run a game in? I haven't played very many other ones. So currently I really enjoy playing 5e. I enjoy playing Mass. Like I had a good time with it, but I do tend to like a little bit more of the rules kind of systems, mostly because I like strategy stuff. So being able to manipulate that in a strategic manner is fun. So I'm honestly just going to be bland and pick 5e.
I think I haven't played very many. I think I played many years ago. I played help me. There was, I can't think of it. It's like basically monsters, hunters, werewolves.
Like the White Wolf systems?
Not White Wolf. You play as like a monster hunter, basically. And that I don't remember rolling any die for that. And I was only there for like 1 or 2 sessions, so I don't remember it too greatly. But I didn't have as good a time with this. I like rolling dice. I like structure, so I really like 5e.
Was the system Monster of a Week?
I'm gonna Google it. Hold
on. All right, Drew, because you have most systems probably.
Favorite system to play? Pretty much any system that will get out of the mechanics, get out of the way and let you fucking tell a story, because that's what you're there for. If you're not, I mean, that's fine. You can run a combat simulator, but the mechanics shouldn't be in your way when you're trying to tell a story. I really like the Powered by the Apocalypse systems because they do that. They're they do it the best that I've seen so far. Favorite game to run something in? Honestly, I like running Call of Cthulhu because the games can be very short or very long, and they're pretty entertaining.
Honestly, the Call of Cthulhu game you ran for us, which I won't talk about because it may come out at some point, that's probably one of the best DM jobs I've ever seen you do. It was really solid.
I'm gonna feel vaguely offended. No, I'm not. Thank you. Nick.
I've only played 5e and Masks. And honestly, I am probably the opposite of Josh. I haven't played Masks a lot, but I actually really liked the just the mechanic and how things were run. It really lends you to explain why and how you do things. While 5e is very much, role based. You succeed, but you succeed only slightly. I enjoy the I don't want to say simplification. That's not really the correct thing, but I feel like 5e has a lot of rules and a lot of things I have to remember about how the game is played, while Masks is very fun and free flowing. I kind of like that as well. I mean, I like both, but I cannot imagine running a Masks game. That's a lot of pressure. But yeah,
John.
So Nick, I'm going to call you a liar.
Why?
Because there is something else that you played that was my favorite thing to play. I love 5e and I love all that stuff. Blades in the Dark.
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that was.
I'm not going to spoil anything because we may have played something and we may have something recorded that we're working on. But holy shit, that game was fucking fun.
That was actually a lot of fun. Yeah, good point. Yeah.
That game, I recommend everybody should look into that game because it is a blast to play. It immediately sets you right into the action, and everything is resolved through like these flashback moments of like before the crew met up and like planned out everything, like what they had to the side. It's a really, really cool mechanic.
Oh, actually, when you're done, I have a thing.
And then game to run. I mean, the game I'm most proficient in running is 5e, but I have been trying to set up. We've been trying to set up a whole like micro RPG thing. The only micro RPG I ran so far was Big Motherfucking Crab Truckers, and that was so good. That was so much fun.
Yeah, everyone should go play Big Motherfucking Crab Truckers. Pretty much anything we've played as a micro RPG that, if we put it out, they will all eventually get put out, most likely, as bonus content, staggered throughout time in memoriam or whatever. But if you hear one, go play it. They are fun and goofy and short, quick to play. And if you ever have friends who are like, I don't know how to role play, bust one of these out. They take about 5 minutes to explain, and you can play anywhere from 30 minutes to 3 hours.
Just play Everyone is Young.
Everyone is Young is a good one.
Play Everyone is Young.
I did a Google, and I apologize because apparently
Google, it sounds like you did something.
I did a business.
You did something that you shouldn't tell people in public.
I Googled, and I have to apologize because apparently it is White Wolf. I just knew it under World of Darkness. It's like Hunter.
Oh, you played World of Darkness. Okay, the way you played as humans fighting the vampires and the werewolves.
Right, a Hunter the Vigil is what we played.
So everyone in the chat, at some point, I want to make everyone here play games that are just going to make them feel very uncomfortable, like Monster Hearts and Vampire the Masquerade.
I actually want to play Vampire.
That's where I thrive. When I feel uncomfortable, I bite back.
Any sort of weird game I can find that's gonna make them uncomfortable, I'm gonna try to force them to play at some point.
Don't make us play Maid, please.
I would not play Maid with any of you here. So
every single person I know who plays Vampire the Masquerade, like seriously, makes terrible choices in their life. Just the worst. Like romantically, friendship, just sexually, just the worst.
Okay,
they are not good people. I'm sorry if you guys play Vampire. I just know a lot of people who make terrible life choices.
I will say, the only person I ever met who played Vampire the Masquerade, like, frequently, I met him in school. He had an interesting life story in the way that this is a cool story to listen to. Oh my god, I feel bad for the person who went through it, because it's just all bad. Bad to the point, in fact, he lost his hair from doing too many drugs.
Oh, God.
And I was like, okay.
Yep.
To add on to that, if you play, or if you know someone who plays, it's good. Play whatever you want to play.
Play whatever you want. That's fine. We're not...
Just know that there might be other people trying to draw you into their terrible life decisions.
The only game I will yuck on your yum if you play is Fatal. I'm sorry. It's a terrible game for terrible people made by bad people.
Yeah. Don't play
that. Anything else, as long as you have a social contract at your table and everyone understands what they're getting into and where they're going and everything else, have fun. Just enjoy yourself.
Quick side
Byron
note about...
Hall.
Fuck him in particular.
Quick side note about Blades in the Dark. When we were on the Don't Split the Pods panel, we weren't on it, we were watching it. Sly Flourish was there. We got to meet him, and one of the games that he really recommended was Blades in the Dark.
Oh, yeah. I agree with him wholeheartedly. That game is a blast to play.
All right, we are definitely over.
Yes, we are.
Let's do our sign-out stuff. Let's just go the same order. So, Bucky.
Hey, I'm Bucky. How you guys doing? I normally play Ven on this podcast. You can find me on Twitter at Bucky_Masters. And on Monday, this coming Monday, you'll find me on Nerd Immersion stream playing my favorite little wizard boy, Ozzy. So yeah, go check it out.
Nick.
I am Nick. I play Kent Brickwood of the East Farthing Brickwoods. You can find me on all the social medias at NikoFigs, NIKOFIGS. Please go listen to Azaka's Gambit. That will come out very soon. Download it on both feeds 1,000,001 times. Let us know if you like it. We worked really hard on it. It's a lot of fun. That's about it.
Morgan.
I'm Morgan. I play Charlotte. You can find me on Twitter at ThistleRaven. My stuff to plug this week is that you should check when the primaries are, or your general elections for whatever elections are coming up in your state, because the midterms are happening and they're important. And the other thing that I want to plug is that Karina, I think Days and Hours on Twitter, has been doing custom spell cards, and she sent me the ones for the cleric and the paladin class, and they're so beautiful. They're the size of tarot cards. She designed them really beautifully. All of the information that you need is right there. They're stunning. So I would recommend, I think they're like a couple dollars on Etsy. You should definitely go check her art out.
Josh?
I got a bunch. I'm Josh Perault. I'm your DM here at Taking Initiative. Other things going on is to give some dates to what Nick was talking about and what I was talking about earlier. Azaka's Gambit will be out on both feeds starting on August 21st to 23rd. That's the date.
And
range
what
for
feeds
you.
are those?
That would be the D&D is for Nerds feed as well as the Taking Initiative feed. We'll be launching them simultaneously so that way both audiences get it and can see each other's content. That was edited by Nick, and I did the finishing editing for it. So thank you, Nick, for taking on your first editing for the podcast, man. Thank you.
It was a lot of fun. Very tough, but a lot of fun. I give you a lot of credit. All of you guys who do all of the editing, and it was very difficult.
Sorry, I pointed at Drew, but I meant to point at Nick.
On top of that, obviously,
Morgan.
if you've been on Twitter, we've been blasting it a lot. We are working again with Wizards of the Coast for Podcast of Waterdeep. This time around, Victoria Rogers from the Broadswords and myself co-planned and co-wrote the entire 10-episode continuous story plot thing of this. We planned it front to back with, thankfully, the help of Greg Tito, Pelham Green, Bart Carroll, Satine Phoenix, and the rest of the Wizards team. The podcast and DMs, which will be running in order, will be North by Northwest, Dragon Friends, then us, the Broadswords, Venture Maidens, Dungeon Drunks, someone in the middle, You Mean in a Tavern, Drunks and Dragons, and then there's going to be 2 special episodes DM'd by Lisa Chen, who's Merciful DM on Twitter, and also Aram Vartian of God's Fall. I will also be in that finale game with Aram, which I will be recording on Monday and playing with Celeste from Venture Maidens, Lauren from Dungeon Drunks, Holly Conrad from Dice Camera Action, playing as Strix, and also Matthew Lillard from Scooby-Doo Without a Paddle, a whole shit ton of
The Sleep Hook.
Yeah. So that's going to be going on. And then we will be recording our episode with the cast you see here with James D'Amato from One Shot and Campaign, and a lot of solid stuff that we've enjoyed for a long time. I know Drew's been a very, very long time fan of One Shot. And also Kelly from Girls Guts Glory. She's the DM. That's Kelly Lynn D'Angelo. So we're going to have awesome time with them next week. And that will start releasing on September 10th, 1 episode per day for 10 episodes. So make sure to tune in, grab the episodes in order, because again, they are continuous. And that's about it on that front. If you want to find me on Twitter, it's at Zyroxis the Beard. That's at XIROXIS the Beard.
Beautiful.
I get spell it in my sleep.
I'm Drew Tillman. You can find me on Twitter at NotThatDrew. I stream stuff pretty much weekly over here on the Spark Network Twitch. You can find me on Couch for It every Friday with Valanda from The Lucky Die reviewing. Well, we just finished Lost in Space, so we'll be starting Altered Carbon in, I think, 2 weeks, because next week I have to stay late at work. You can also find me appearing in various other podcasts where I show up to I'm not going to say lend a hand. I'm going to say randomly poke the problem buttons. But yeah, listen to my voice. In all the podcasts, you will probably hear me at some point. It's my idea to sneak into everything. And also, you can find all the links for us in the chat. Valanda has been nice enough to post them all. I
also have 2 quick things. One, thank you very, very much to Brittany from the Venture Maidens for mine and Bucky's tattoos. You're healing very well, and thank you very much for your work. And also thank you to everyone who we met at Gen Con, including our dear friends in the Discord, Polish Ogre and Kit Battlebeard. It's a pleasure to meet you guys in person. And hopefully in the future we can meet more of you at different events.
I have one last very tiny thing in that I have been sitting on 2 Brooklinen towels that I folded up, and it was as cushy as if I put 2 pillows on them. So this is not an ad for Brooklinen. It could be, though, Brooklinen, if you wanted podcast exposure. But their towels are super plush and have kept my butt from hurting this entire time.
If anyone in the chat has connection to Brooklinen, we will happily plug Brooklinen.
I have their sheets and their duvet and their stupid expensive towels, and I can say that
if we're gonna plug shit that we're not actually getting paid for, MeUndies. Check this shit out.
All right, I got to get on a call with Joe.
Okay, we gotta go.
Brag a little more. All
Thank
right,
you
goodbye,
guys so
everybody.
much.
Thanks for being here.
Bye.